Hi YouTube friends, hope you guys are doing well. Can't believe how time flew. Yo, I was just going through my comments now. I just saw that I never even did a commentary for September. So today I've got to do two commentaries. I've got to do September and October. So I've got quite a bit to deal with you guys. And let me maybe just make my face a little bit bigger over here. Put me over there. And then we can maybe just run through the questions. I'll see how fast I can get through it. So there's not going to be this enormously long video, but obviously I do need to read some of the questions and go look at for some of the answers. But let's give it a bash. Let me maybe just read the first question quickly. So Danville, so thanks for the great video. I struggled with last year. I wrote my emails to do cell phone call to my employer to correct the 2020 and 21 tax year RP5s, but nothing happens until now. SARS rejects the 2 tax years because the incorrect information on it. So you would, I think in a case like that, the best would be to make an appointment with the receiver of revenue. And you'll see that I did some videos over there of how to make such bookings. Make a booking for personal tax, speak to the consultants over there, and then see what they say, what course of action you must follow there. Normally under those type of circumstances, the best would be to do an affidavit and submit the return with what you've got. And then they're obviously going to choose it for verification. And then from there, you'll obviously have a case number that you can use. But the best, I think the starting point is phone the receiver of revenue or make an appointment, chat to the guys there and see how they can assist you, because there are people that sits in the same situation. We've had it this year a couple of times, and especially with the 2021 year, where if stuff is wrong in the RP5s, then the receiver of revenue says, okay, give us the payslips for the 12 months, give us the bank statements for the 12 months so we can verify what you received, and then they correct it on their side. So it can be done. It's just a bit of a longer process. Thanks, Daniel, for the question. Super Setu, let's quickly see. So talking about income tax for companies. So my brother just started an agent delivering bread for the local bakery. He does not make as much as 50,000 Rand per month, but still pays employees and food expenses. I want to help him in terms of tax returns. My question, can I do tax returns monthly? And wish that I do need to show the expenses deducted. Do I keep all of the fuel slips the employee just paid via bank transfer? And what will be the profit, their salaries? Last, my brother is also managing a business. He can't get paid as an employee as well. So remember, you must go look at that video where I talk about sole proprietors and companies. So if it's a sole proprietor, obviously the profit that's left over is going to be his taxable income. You would have to keep all the slips. Anything that you can claim as an expense, the receiver of revenue can, and they will come back and ask for the slips. If you can't give them the proof, they're going to disallow that expense, and then you can have to pay the tax on that amount. And stuff like salaries and stuff, you must keep record of those salaries. You need to obviously have an employment contract with the guys, get a copy of their ID. You'll see sometimes if you go to like CNA and stuff, you can actually buy a thing which they call wage books, where you can put in, write in the guy's information over there, let him sign for the money that he earned, especially if it's just like more casual wages. So I think that would be like a minimum that you have to do. Remember, the Department of Labour says if somebody works here longer than 24 hours, then you have to register him with the Department of Labour. So just keep that in mind as well. And especially workman compensation, there you must be careful, because if the guys get hurt and they find out that they're working for you and you're not registered there, then you can run into trouble. Joanne, let's quickly see. Sage review. We are currently using Pastel Partner, and we use Project Code Facility all the time. Does Sage 1 offer this as well? If not, any other software that does that. So Project Codes. So what you will find is on Sage, they call that analysis codes. I think that might be the same thing. I quickly move myself. So if you go down here, there's the button for analysis codes. So if you had to do this, then you can put in descriptions over here. There's a, for instance, branch, and we're just gonna save that. Now it should pop up there for our analysis codes. Just quickly, just go back. Company analysis codes. So what will happen? You can see there's the analysis code 3, analysis code 4. So these are the codes that you can use. You can see that you can add more onto this list. So what will happen, it's a little bit of a tricky thing, because now if you go to your banking over here and all your other transactions, you have to adjust the lines that you can see. So if you go there and you can see there where it says customize grid, and then you can see that over there, you can add the additional lines or the additional columns. So you can actually then start choosing the different ones from whatever it is that you want to use. So that is where you would use the codes, you see. So it can be done. Like I said, that is where they hide it away. So go to custom companies analysis codes, and then on your banking, those are the invoices as well. You're going to have to do the same, so that you can open up that functionality to be able to do that reporting. So I think that is what you're referring to, so it can be done on Sage as well. And how can we contact you? So if you have a look on our website, saaccountingnetwork.co.za, all our contact details are on there. Kanisa and Gaba, this is wonderful, very informative. I can't wait to watch more videos like this. So that was the business structures. Man, I'm really glad they're enjoying the videos. So let's quickly see Pumalelo. So if you are an investor Forex, do you pay tax? I think if you're resident in South Africa, tax resident, it doesn't matter where you're making profit. If you are tax resident here, you have to declare worldwide income. So any profits that you do make, you're going to have to pay tax on the side over here. Investments, just remember investments, if you buy shares today for 1,000 Rand and that share price comes up to 2,000 Rand, that profit is not taxed. It's only the day that those investments pay out that it becomes a taxable, and then you must declare the tax on those. E-filing, let's quickly see Mr. Brown. As a tax practitioner, I've been trying to appoint myself as a registered representative of a company of which I'm the sole director. This has been ongoing since March. Hey man, I feel your pain. With every application, SARS simply states application denied. It's because you're a tax practitioner, you can't appoint yourself. Now I've lodged multiple complaints with the CMO1 form. SARS never gets back to me. Explanation. Maybe what you should do is obviously if you're a tax practitioner, you belong to an institute, maybe get touch base with the guys there and see if they can't assist you to do it. But it's stupid. I mean, the SARS representative is not a difficult thing. I see now with the SARS website that the new functionality, or the one that they actually want the people to use, is working at the moment. We are having success with that route. So if you go to the SARS website and you go to online services, and then here under these online services, you have the option over there to register representative. So if you upload your documents there, we're quite successful over there. And sometimes if they do miss stuff, they will send out the information, like an email of what is missing. So can I claim UI if I was unemployed for 4 months? Or if I was employed for only 4 months? I ask because they do seem to require 6 months of pay slips. Andrew, I'm not sure, but I know that if you paid, you're entitled to claim. It's just the period that you're going to get benefits for is probably not going to be a very long period. You might only be able to claim that for a month or so, you see. So I think that is what you've got to be careful for. But phone them. I see with the Department of Labour, best thing is phone early in the morning, like 8 o'clock when they wake up, and then you just haunt them immediately. Let's quickly see e-filing. Thank you, sir. I nearly opt for the long method. Much appreciated. And I hope that you guys can write with it. It's still a struggle. I just don't know why I did that. Expat tax, Christian, very informative. Thank you for posting this. It answered some of my questions. Takeaways, you need assistance with the process because it is complicated. And I think your observation is 100% right. Expat tax is quite a specialized area these days. It's not something that anybody can do anymore. UIF Sparky X84, thank you for the guide. I have a question. What does it mean when the status says parked, declared UR19 doc? I am not sure. Best is to touch base with the Department of Labour and ask them. Otherwise, just Google for that and see what pops up on Google. Quite often, Google gives you some answers. Simbonkile, Kialiboch, my friend. I'm really glad that you enjoyed it. I hope I pronounced that right. Let's quickly see Nicole, Callan, thank you for the information. You're really cool. Thanks for the comment. Starting a business, yes. Another one, starting a business, Boomzile, thank you very much for the comment. Let's quickly see. Sage test, Lee. Yeah, that's really cool, man. Thanks that you're watching my videos. Hopefully I'm helping in your stuff. And yeah, let me know how the test went. You can maybe just reply here, then I can have a quick look. How to get a tax number. Please can you do a video of personal income tax and medical aid and company contributions. I can maybe have a chat about that. There are other guys. I know if you go search for Andre Potma, I think he did a whole tutorial of how to do tax returns and stuff. But personal tax, there's just so many variables that it's difficult to do a video on that. As I always say, that my videos, the purpose is not to be very technical, but I think just to give you guys information of the basics of how it works. So I don't want to go into too technical things. Income tax, let's quickly see. I got paid 3,000 Rand per month for 3 months while working for the Department of Basic Education as examiner and reviser, I got taxed 25%. Why is that? So what they do is those guys, if you do that type of work, and then what they do, they term you as an independent contractor. I think that is the right word, or contractor. And I see that most guys that works at universities and stuff like that all get paid at 25%, because the risk is that they pay you. Let's say, for instance, you already have a full-time job somewhere, and now you're doing extra work on the side. If they just pay you straight and you didn't pay any tax on that, then the receiver of revenue is going to have to chase you around to get that money out of you, you see. So now they reversed it a bit and say, if you do have temporary guys working with you, 25% tax, and once you submit the return, then you can claim the receiver back, claim the tax back from the receiver of revenue. So if your tax threshold is below 87,300 Rand, or the total income for the year, then just wait. When you submit your tax return, then you're going to get all the tax money back, which is really, really cool. Yeah, so I think there's unfortunately no way to speed the process up, but it is in the pipeline. So you're definitely going to get the money at some stage. Let's quickly see. Is it advisable to register PTY if I'm renting a tavern? Violet, I think it just depends on the size of the tavern. And I think in terms of risk, most of the guys that I worked with that was having those type of businesses definitely registered a company to let the trade through the company, just because of personal liability. There's so many things that can go wrong in a tavern. If something burns down, or if somebody falls, or if somebody stabs somebody, and if it's in your personal name, then you're personally liable for what happens there. Where if it's in a company, remember, then it's a separate legal entity. So I would advise maybe to go that route to maybe register a company. Sage, let's quickly see. Joey. Okay. Trying to get invoices to print in dual languages. Currently, all our products are English, but followed by the Chinese name in the same product field. It shows fine on the screen, but when we print, for an example, at the delivery note on the invoice, the printed document only shows English and omits the Chinese name. Is it possible to print dual language characters? I don't have the answer for that one. If you do find the answer, then maybe just comment on the video as well, so I also at least know about that, but I'm not sure. Yeah, that's one question that unfortunately I can't answer. The best is to chat with the guys there at Sage. Let's quickly see. Suppliers. I've imported years worth of bank statements into Sage and based all the expenses as supplier transactions. Is there a way to change those payments into account payments? So Timothy, I'm going to show you a trick here, but you've got to be really, really careful with this. If you go to Sage and you go to banking, let me maybe just quickly go back. Maybe let me just refresh this. So if you've got the transactions in Sage, there's a button over here that you can go. If you said that you made supplier payments, let's quickly see if there was any supplier payments inside the demo company. So you can see over here's 4 supplier payments. So what you can do, if you want to change all of them at the same time, let's maybe go to review transaction, and we go from the 1st of March 2022. So refresh. No, this is only under new transactions. So what you will do is you will search for all your supplier ones, select that button. You see there's a button that says batch edit. So this is what you've got to be careful for. So now you're going to say batch edit. So you can see it highlights all the transactions. So if I go to one and I change it to account, you can see it disappeared now. Who was the supplier? Because what it did is it selected all those accounts at the same time. Let me maybe just refresh it quickly. I think it's going to be better actually if you search for the guy that you paid, because as soon as you take the search off, then you can see that it pops away. So let's quickly say pay east side. So if I have to search for that, pay east side, that little hyphen in there, pay east side. So those ones over there. So this is a good example. Select that one over there, say batch edit, then you go over there to account, you stick that into cost of sales, or whichever expense you want to put it to. Let's say for instance you want to put it there. Say finish edit, so that it deselects all of those. So if you don't do that, then you've got to be careful, because it might change all your transactions, and then you hit save changes. So that's a way that it can do multiple transactions by using the batch edit function, but just be very careful with it. It's not advice that I freely give out, because it's a little bit risky if you did that wrong. Yeah, but otherwise you can have to go and then capture all the payments that you made, capture the supplier payments, which is even more work. Let's quickly see over here. Cora, am I able to reverse invoice completely as I accidentally allocate the invoice to the wrong entity and thus an income has been created that does not belong to them? Cora, unfortunately not. You can't delete an invoice, but you can edit the invoice to make the amount 0. Or if you maybe did send the email out to the guy and they already received the invoice, then I would suggest that you don't change the invoice, but rather go create a credit note for that. And then on the credit note, you just say incorrect client invoiced, put the amount, and then the invoice will cancel out, or the credit note will cancel out the invoice that you did. But if you haven't sent it, like I say, just go edit the invoice itself. So if you go to customers, transactions, customer tax invoices, go to the one that you want to change, you will see at the top over there you say edit. It's going to give you the message to say that it's already been paid, and then if you scroll down, then you can see over there you can take the amounts off, and then you hit save. I might say that hasn't got an item, maybe just choose anything over here, and they will just make the value 0. So there's just one line, but you can see there's no amounts on there, you see. And then that is how it works. So now I can see the invoice is 0, so they don't owe you money, but if they do ask, then you just maybe put in somewhere in the comment that you made an invoice to an incorrect entity. So that is what I would do. Let's quickly see. Jenny, I'm glad you enjoyed the video, the banking one. That's really cool. I think if you get the banking right in Sage, then the bulk of the work is done. So another error message from UIF. These guys changed the whole time. The file name wasn't correct. Please read recent mail in this format. Best would be to phone the Department of Labour and ask them about that. I'm not sure. I don't work with them every single day, but I'm not sure about that one. Let's quickly see. If you become a non-resident taxpayer and you have left one of your assets, a vehicle registered with a family member, will SARS take ownership of the vehicle? No, they won't. The vehicle still stays yours. They can't just go and take your stuff. So it'll definitely stay yours. But if you want, get in touch with these guys at Tax Consulting South Africa. They don't charge for their first consultation. So send the guys an email, say, listen, you watched the video on YouTube, and you maybe want to have a chat to them about, see if you've got a nice bike over there, and that you want to talk about your bike that you left in South Africa and what the situation would be. They'll gladly assist you over there. Another one. So talk about contact details. Yeah, so I did send my stuff over there, but if you want to talk about the UIF stuff, then you need to get hold of Tanya. She will assist you over there. VAT. Awesome. NK 2010. Glad you enjoyed the VAT one. Let's quickly see. Banking. Recently followed your advice on an issue at the SARS. I'm happy to confirm the issue has been resolved. Thanks. Awesome, man. Glad, Joshua, that it helped. Let's quickly see over here. Kuni. Can you now delete entries and invoices? No, you can't delete invoices. Entries you can in your banking. You can delete banking stuff, but invoices you can't. You can just change that. So the question I got is this. With real estate, we work with commission only. We send an invoice to the attorney once the deal is registered. We get paid, but sometimes the deal doesn't go through and the deal is cancelled. So what I want to know is what happens with that invoice that we send to attorneys, as we need to delete that invoice or something, to my understanding. Otherwise, the books are imbalanced because of the invoice. Okay, cool. So what I would suggest is that the same applies to this over here. So if you already sent the invoice out, especially with attorneys for transfer fees and stuff, I normally just say that to the guys in that type of industry is you tell the guy that you're only going to send the invoice the day that that company registers or the property registers. Otherwise, what you need to do is you need to create a credit note, but just make sure, try and compose it on the same day when the original invoice was sent out. You see, otherwise, if you're working with VAT, let's say for instance your VAT period is May and June, and you've got an invoice, or let's say for instance April and May, and you've got an invoice for the 29th of May, then you must pay the VAT over to SARS. But now if that transaction is never going to happen, then in the next month you must claim the VAT back again from the receiver of revenue. So just make a credit note on the same date so that the two transactions just cancel each other out. Yeah. Otherwise I agree, then you're going to sit with a problem that you're sitting with all these invoices that you're never going to get money for. Let's quickly see. I'm living in New Zealand and no longer have access to my old email or mobile number. Is there another avenue that I'll be able to pursue? Once again, try and get a hold of the guys there at Tax Consulting South Africa. They work with a lot of guys that's living overseas to get a lot of the admin stuff sorted out. You'll see that I did some videos. If you just search for Tax Consulting SA, and then you can chat to the guys there. Thomas Loban is the guy that I speak to, or Victoria Lansfield. Those will definitely be able to assist you. Another one for UIF. I retired at the end of August and want to claim UIF. I'm being sent back and forth with no success. Please can't respond to this request. Derek, so what I would suggest is try and get hold of Tanya. So if you go to my website, SA Accounting Network, and you'll see that over here there's a little button for UIF stuff. Where's the UIF one? I'm going to find it now. Oh, there's a little button that says retrenchment. So this lady over here, Tanya Bushman, she does most of my UIF work for me, and she does it every single day. So touch base with her and see if she can't help you. She's a really friendly lady and she helps a lot of my clients. I hope that helps. How do you recommend the software for small law firms? I think Sage will be good enough for small law firms. I think one thing that you might need to explore is that there's got the functionality to track time. I think there's like a module that you can add where you've got time tracking, where you can actually keep track of the time that you spent on projects and then invoice accordingly. But software, small law firms, I mean, it's the same as accounting firms. We use it every single day. Another one, tax number. I'm trying to get my deceased father's pension from South Africa, but need a tax number. I've registered for an e-filing with no luck. Won't let me look at tax type, but phone charge get cut off. I'm in the UK, really struggling and thought the video helped. Okay, so what I would suggest, Chris, as well, is to get hold of the guys at Tax Consulting South Africa, Thomas Loban. I'll just quickly show you the website, Tax Consulting. So these guys over here, they work with a lot of people that's sitting overseas that's trying to get their stuff sorted out in South Africa. If you speak to them, two guys there, you can speak to Thomas or Victoria and just mention that you watched my video so they know where it's coming from. Let's quickly see. So we did that one over there. The things we hear, thank you. I went into this stash branch with all my documents. Would they be able to help me? And then and there, you can try. You can try and do that, but I'm not sure whether they're going to be able to do it right there and there, because there's a certain department that the receiver of revenue that works with it. So once again, either follow the steps that I made there, or otherwise you can go to this one over here. If you go to SARS, and maybe just go back to the home page over there. If you go to this one that says online services, this functionality is working at the moment, so you can maybe just fill in this form over here, upload your documents. Once you send it through, if there's stuff missing, they will normally send you an email to say this may be missing an ID or something like that. So it can be done. Let's quickly see. Place. That's cool. Thank you for the information. Answer a lot of my questions. I do in fact have a few questions. I'm looking at starting a business doing crypto mining, but at the current moment it's not profitable and the company will run a loss for a few months. I will need to carry the company out of my own pocket. Is it worth doing a small business? And if it's not profitable at the moment, you can. I think I do have another company as well that's also doing crypto mining, because all those expenses, remember, is going to lie inside that company there. So the day when you start selling stuff, then you can start deducting the expenses from the profits. So I think it can be done. I think it's going to be easier to prove the expenses if it's inside a company. You see, with individuals, they get tricky with cryptos. And cryptos is quite a specialized field, especially when it comes to tax stuff. So I think you must just be careful there. And so once again, the guy at Tax Consulting South Africa, Thomas Loban, he actually did his master's degree on tax on cryptocurrencies. So he's actually the guy that you must have a chat to. He's definitely going to be able to do it. You'll see that I actually did a video on my YouTube channel where we're talking about tax on cryptocurrencies. Go watch that video. You'll find a lot of value in that. Let's quickly see business rescue. Yes. You must speak to guy Kunrat. He's a really cool guy. He's got a lot of experience when it comes to business rescue. How do we capture our closing inventory on Sage? So if you go to inventory, let's quickly see. If you go to reports, and let me quickly just go look where that report is. If you look at your profit and loss, I remember on one of the reports, also in your balance sheet, they actually explain to you how to do your closing stock. It might be on the balance sheet. I remember seeing them, but in theory, what you got to do is you got to go to items, you go to reports, and you see this one over here that says item valuation. So you'll go look at the value of the items at a specific date. So there's for instance, you look at this date, it shows you 8.6 million rand. Then you must take this one, go to your stock that you've got in the shop, go do a stock take, compare it with this amount. If this amount balances, then you must put in two journals. You're going to debit your stock on hand or inventory, and you're going to credit the closing stock in the income statement. Then at the start of the next period, you must reverse the journal again. So then you're going to put in a journal where you're going to debit your opening stock income statement amount, and then obviously you're going to credit your closing, your inventory on the balance sheet. So those are the two entries that they do. They don't do it by default because they want people to go check and make sure that the values of their closing stock is accurate. If you're working with stock over here, if you're not working with stock, the same principle apply. You will put all your purchase that you made through cost of sales. The end of the year, do your stock take, and then you're just going to credit your income statement, and you're going to debit your balance sheet. Your stock line on your balance sheet is going to be debited, and your closing stock and income statement is going to be credited. So that is basically what you do. So it's not a difficult process. The main thing is you must make sure you got your values right. How does that work? Can our business claim VAT and car repayments on a light passenger vehicle bought through the business on finance? Unfortunately not. So even if it's a heavy vehicle, if it's a truck or anything like that, you can't claim the VAT on that. Remember, any passenger vehicle you can't claim VAT on. So they say any car, anything that's that transports people, what do they call that? The definition that they use to see whether you can claim VAT on vehicles is whether the loading space is more than the passenger space. So double cab buckies, even you can't claim the VAT on that. But if it's a super cab, so like the cab and halves, then the loading space is bigger than the passenger space. On those you can, but you would only claim it once when you buy the vehicle. If it's on a finance agreement, so if you pay 230,000 rand, then you'll take 30,000 rand, claim it as input tax, and then the payment's no VAT on that. If you're renting that same vehicle, so where you only pay a fixed amount on a monthly basis, but the vehicle never becomes yours, then you'll see that there will be VAT on that invoice. But if it's a passenger vehicle, once again, you can't. If it's a bakkie, then you can. Yeah, so just be careful for that. But finance, because you can't claim VAT back to us. Let's quickly see. Yes, this is cool. What to do when the suspension of payment is revoked? I think you're probably going to have to pay the receiver of revenue then, or maybe phone them and ask them why they revoke your suspension of payment. It must only be because maybe you missed a payment or something. SARS SMS. I filed return 7 days late. How do they do the calculations? So they're going to charge me for all months, and do they charge on gross income? So hit or miss, they work on a sliding scale. So the higher the taxable income is, then the penalty becomes more. By default, is I think 250 rand that they charge. And I see that late submissions, they only charge it once off. Where if, let's say for instance, you don't submit the return, and you just don't submit the thing, then they do it on a monthly basis, you see. So I know that those penalties go up to 2,000 rand per month, you see. So it just depends on what your taxable income was. How to claim UIF? I want to ask if I already got my first payment, is it necessary to apply again for continuation of the benefits, or will they pay me automatically? I'm not sure. I think they pay you automatically, but I think you do need to apply, because otherwise how would they know whether you started working again, you see. Once again, maybe touch base with this girl, Tanya, and then I'll give her a call and maybe just ask her. She will definitely answer that question for you quickly. Business structures. Awesome, thank you. Greatly enjoy it. David, thank you for the info provided, Sage. How would one add a non-stock item sample stock onto Sage? I've been invoiced for it, but must be captured, but do not as a stock item. So what you would do, if you work with items, but it's not physical items that you're working with, so then you would go to list of items. Press the wrong button, but you can add an item over here. And then what you do, you see over there is a little button that says service or physical. So you're going to load it as a service item, put in the code, the description, so it doesn't keep track of how many of the items you sold, but that is the place that we would do it. 10,000 subscribers, yeah, thank you, Vader Market, yes. Yeah, we must have a chat again, we haven't spoken to each other a long time. Quickly see, with recurring invoices, are you able to set the references or description to be the same each time, or do you manually edit the reference and the description each time? So if you do recurring invoices, you've got two choices there. You can make it, so let me maybe just say add recurring invoices to show you quickly. So you're going to load the customer, let's say for instance that guy over there, and you can see over here we're going to say that it's going to be once a month, and you see over here you've got the button to say automatically or as draft. So if you say either one of those, it doesn't really matter, but you're going to say, if it's stuff that you're doing, so you're going to say account, and then you're going to say consulting revenue, and then you're going to say, let's say for instance 500 Rand. Or 5,000 Rand. So if you say automatically, then every month it's going to send the invoice out with that description that you've got over there. You see, if you make it that as a draft, then you'll see that it's going to save it as a draft. Then you first need to go through the invoices to see whether you're happy with the amounts or whether you want to change anything before the invoices get sent out. You see, so what would happen then is just under your customers, if you go to customer recurring invoices, I'm just going to leave it for now, but then you'll see over here, there's the button that says view draft invoices. So here's going to be a list of all the invoices, and then you can go through it one by one to see which ones you want to edit, and then you can say process and email. So that is the sequence or the procedure that you would have to do there. Yeah, so you can do it every time, but we just put it to set automatically, send the invoices out, unless if there's stuff that you did additionally that you want to put onto the invoice. Cool, man, hope that makes sense. Yeah, thanks guys for watching, and thanks for all the comments, and yeah, just keep on asking questions. I'll answer them definitely as soon as I get time, or as soon as I get through that. Cool, man, cheers, bye.